Hey gamers, I'm back with another gaming comparison, and this time we're about to duke some things out. And hey, game rivalries, they're not anything new. Some say they're as old as Pixels themselves, with fans still passionately defending the favorite titles like they wielding virtual battle axes. Fun times. But look, today I'm throwing this one back to the late 90s, baby, all for the sake of reigniting one of the OG feuds of the FPS landscape. Yeah dude, I'm talking about Quake 3 Arena versus Unreal Tournament 99. These two first-person shooter legends were like the Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone of the gaming world, wrecking faces and taking names. I mean, it was all about that fast-paced arena mayhem. So, with that in mind, let's put on our virtual combat boots, grab our rocket launchers and charge into this comparison like a squad of greasy neckbeards on a caffeine high. Or not. Getting this one underway, we'll take a trip down memory lane with a quick history and story breakdown of each, dig into what makes them similar and different, scope out the different game modes, gameplay, graphics, sound effects, the guns, and even the different game engines, before we then discuss the legacy each one left. All of this in order for us to decide which fast-paced shooter ultimately takes a crown. This is Quake 3 Arena versus Unreal Tournament 99. Dude, back in the late 90s, Epic Games and Digital Extremes joined forces to create a game that was gonna be out of this world. I'm talking Unreal Tournament, and this first-person shooter was exactly that. It had wacky weapons. I'm talking flak cannons that fired exploding shrapnel and redeemers that could level entire maps. It was pure insanity, and gamers were totally down getting on that ride. And not to get started on the game modes, dude. UT99 had game modes for days. Deathmatch, capture the flag, assault, they had it all. It was like a base defending, objective attacking frenzy, and the characters, well, it looked like they were ripped straight from a sci-fi flick. Each had their own personalities, backstories, and abilities that added to the game's overall appeal. From the sharp customization options to the map editor, which allowed you to create your own battlegrounds, to that iconic tournament announcer.
Headshot, double kill.
And those lines are forever etched in our gaming psyche. But look, the real magic was the modding community. Players were going nuts, creating hilarious mods like maps set in outer space or underwater, or even turning the weapons into rubber chickens. But let's not forget about the multiplayer, or the online multiplayer. Man, shit got real, battling it out with players from all over the world in a fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping matches, trash-talking and creative insults, and forming clans with quirky names. UT99 became a cult classic, remembered for its intense gameplay, unforgettable characters, and outrageous weapons, all to give you that totally unreal experience. Now, Quake 3 Arena, aka Quake 3, is another first-person classic that was developed by id Software and released back in '99. The single-player campaign was fire and progressed through tiers of maps combating different bot characters that increase in difficulty. But it was all about that multiplayer mayhem, and Quake 3 shined. I remember jumping in those adrenaline-pumping online battles with friends and randoms from all over the world, and it was wicked, filled with arenas like gothic castles and futuristic space stations, and a killer arsenal of weapons like the railgun and rocket launcher to unleash power like a boss. It wasn't just about spraying bullets everywhere, man. Quake 3 was all about skill. Precise aiming, quick reflexes, and slick movements were key to becoming a fragging machine. Modes were off the charts, dude. Classic deathmatch, team deathmatch, capture the flag, and more. You could create your own game modes with modding tools, so the replayability was through the roof. The multiplayer community was intense, with competitive clans, online tournaments, trash talking, friendly rivalries, and epic frag fests. And let's not forget about that sick techno industrial soundtrack that pumped you up during matches. It was pure audio adrenaline. Look, Quake 3 Arena was a commercial hit, and it's still remembered as a classic, with its fast-paced gameplay, skill-based mechanics, and competitive multiplayer scene. You can bet it left a lasting impact on the gaming community. Now look, UT99 is a wild, futuristic battleground with different factions of badass warriors like the Scar, the Necrus, and the Humans, all to duke it out in a massive arena. It's like the Olympics of the future, but instead of sports, it's all about blowing each other up with crazy weapons and showing off your mad skills. On the other hand, Quake 3 Arena is more like the intergalactic gladiator showdown. It's set in a dark and twisted universe with some gnarly looking warriors called the Strog, who are hell-bent on annihilating anyone in their path. In UT99, you can get to choose your own character, each with their own backstory and motivation for joining the tournament. It's like the motley crew of warriors, each with their own quirks and personalities. You've got the tough as nails Marine, the Cyber Ninja, the Alien Beast, and many more. They're all about competing for fame, glory, and a shot at becoming the ultimate champion of the tournament. Quake 3 Arena, on the other hand, doesn't have that traditional story mode, as it's more about that fast-paced, no-nonsense arena shooter, where you jump right into the action. You get to choose from a selection of deadly warriors, each with their own set of abilities, and battle it out in this epic, fast-paced matches against other players or bots. It's all about skill, reflexes, and strategies. You try to outgun and outsmart your opponents in this frantic, adrenaline-pumping showdown. Look, both these games have their own unique charm and style, but one thing is for sure, they're all about that intense, heart-pounding action in the arenas. Whether you prefer diverse cast of characters in the epic story of UT99 or the ruthless, no-frills gameplay of Quake 3 Arena, both these games, for sure as hell, bring that fire. Alright, let's talk a bit about some similarities between Unreal Tournament and Quake 3. It's all about that fast-paced, heart-pounding multiplayer combat. I'm talking deathmatch, team deathmatch, and capture the flag modes that will have you sweating bullets and shouting swear words at the screen. And the graphics. For the time, it was sharp and detailed with some futuristic vibes. I was blown away for the time. But hey, if you were a gamer in the late 90s craving that adrenaline rush, wouldn't go wrong with either one of these bad boys. They've got a killer lineup of weapons, power-ups that keep your arm to the teeth during matches, from the classic firearms to badass energy weapons and explosive devices. Plus temporary boosts like health, armor, and speed. Yep, all about that wreaking havoc on your opponents like a boss. And let's not forget about the community, man. These games held it down back in the day and still has some diehard fans. The modding scene was lit, custom maps, mods, and game modes that kept the content fresh and replayability off the charts. Talking a bit about some differences, specifically setting Quake 3 and Unreal Tournament apart, it all starts with that, the movement. Unreal Tournament had that slick dodge mechanic that lets you move like a ninja with quick lateral movements and a smooth agile feel. On the other hand, Quake 3 is all about that strafe jumping and rocket jumping for those hardcore players who want to reach those harder reach spots with mad skills. So basically, Unreal is more accessible, making it easier for newbies to jump in and wreck some faces, while Quake 3 is more for the hardcore players who want to prove their skill and show off their mad movement abilities. And look, game modes, Unreal Tournament brings that variety with unique modes like Assault, Domination, adding some wicked team-based gameplay to the mix. Quake 3 on the other hand focus more on that individual performance and the classic game modes that we all know and love. Here's where Unreal Tournament takes it up a notch with game modes like Assault and Domination, which added a whole layer of team objective-based gameplay. It was like a breath of fresh air in the arena shooter world. I mean, don't get me wrong, Quake 3 held it down with its more individual focused gameplay and standard game modes, but Unreal Tournament definitely wins in this diversity department. So if you're looking for something extra to spice up your multiplayer mayhem, Unreal Tournament is where it's at. Alright, let's talk about the bread and butter of these games, the gameplay, and how they feel to play. Brace yourself, because this one's kinda tough. Both Unreal Tournament and Quake 3 deliver that classic, heart-pounding, adrenaline-pumping experience that arena shooters are known for. But this is where things get interesting. Quake 3 has that hardcore appeal with its skill-based movements like that strafe jumping and rocket jumping that lets skilled players zip around the map like speed demons and reach hidden spots. It's like a masterclass of movement. On the other hand, Unreal Tournament is all about that accessibility. Zipping around quick lateral movements that feels fluid and agile, well, without needing to be a mechanical genius. Now, this is a tough call, but we're leaning towards Quake 3 taking the cake in this category. Skill-based mechanics offer a high ceiling for players to aim for, and once you master those, you know, straight jumping shenanigans, you unlock a whole new level of fun. It's unlike anything in the genre, and hey, it's all about that adrenaline rush, baby. So yeah, Quake 3 definitely makes a comeback here. Oh, let's not forget about the weapons. Unreal Tournament has a sick arsenal of diverse weapons, from the iconic shock rifle to the devastating Redeemer. Quake 3 on the other hand keeps it classic with streamlined weapons like the rocket launcher and railgun, packing that serious punch. Sure, Quake 3's guns are satisfying, but Unreal Tournament steals the show in this category with its wide range of weapons, each with their alt fires, and just never run out of creative ways to turn your foes into pixelated dust. It's like a playground of mayhem, and I'm here for it. And hey, the art and sound direction actually was and still is on point. Unreal Tournament has these colorful environments with an electronic and techno-inspired soundtrack that'll still pump up a few OGs. While Quake 3 on the other hand goes for that dark and gritty industrial vibe with that heavy metal soundtrack. It's like a showdown between techno and metal, so I'll let you guys pick that one. Last but not least, the game engines. Unreal Tournament rocks that iconic Unreal Engine, while Quake 3 operated on that id Tech 3. These engines affected how the games behaved and the mod support they got. The Tech 3 engine made that sick strafe jumping possible in Quake 3, while the Unreal Engine, to me, was just more streamlined, which allowed for some wicked modding action in UT99. Unreal Tournament 99 is the OG of arena shooters. This game left a mark in the gaming world that still felt today. It's not just because of that killer gameplay. It was the life of the party back in the day. It brought friends together for those epic LAN parties where it all used to huddle around those clunky CRT monitors armed with pizza and drinks. Those late night frag fests would turn into trash talking battles with shouts of headshot and... Let's not forget about the modding scene. UT99 was the haven for creative gamers who whipped up insane mods and turned the game into a wild, unpredictable playground. From crazy new weapons to wacky game modes, it was just always something fresh to keep us hooked and, you know, for us to laugh our butts off. But the legacy of Unreal Tournament didn't stop there. It inspired a whole generation of developers who took that fast-paced, skill-based gameplay and ran with it. It's like the granddaddy of arena shooters, and its influence can be seen in countless games that followed, keeping that frag fest spirit alive. Yeah, and look, Quake 3 Arena is the OG of fragging mayhem. This game left a legacy in the gaming world that is still as fierce as a rocket launcher blast, and it's not just because of that intense gameplay. Quake 3 Arena is like a masterclass of skill-based shooting. It was all about that precision and reflexes, and spending countless hours honing our aim and strafe jumping like maniacs to gain that extra edge. It was like an adrenaline rush on steroids, with heart-pounding moments that left me on the edge of my seat, sweaty palms and swearing when we'd missed that crucial railgun shot. Let's not forget about the iconic characters in arenas, from the gruff ranger to the sinister Sorlak. Quake 3 Arena had a cast of characters that were as memorable as they were bad. And the arenas themselves were like battlegrounds where you duke it out in gravity-defying jumps, dodging rockets and dodging plasma blasts like our lives depended on it. But Quake 3 Arena didn't just captivate us with its gameplay, it fostered a competitive community like no other. LAN parties turned into epic showdowns where friendships were tested, rivalries were born, and bragging rights were fiercely contested. And the legacy of Quake 3 Arena lives on in the world of esports. Its influence can be seen in the DNA of modern competitive shooters, with its emphasis on raw skill, lightning fast reflexes, and adrenaline pumping action. It's like the granddaddy of esports. Yeah, a game that paved the way for many. So here we are, gamers. Ultimately, the better game between Unreal Tournament 99 and Quake 3 Arena lies with you and your own preference, especially when it comes to certain aspects of the gameplay, the community, and the overall experience. So I just wanted to get that out there. I grew up playing both these games and have nothing but respect for both of them, especially since both of them have left a lasting impact in the gaming community. But for me, based on this comparison, I have to give the slight edge to UT99. I mean, this game had attitude with its explosive weapons, spot-on graphics, over-the-top characters, adrenaline-pumping gameplay, with added variety in different game modes like Assault and Domination, and who can forget that iconic map facing worlds? Man, it was just sharp. And look, Quake 3 Arena will always be a powerhouse with its hardcore fans, precision movement, and intense duels, but if you're looking at settling this age-old debate, then Unreal Tournament 99 is the first-person shooter party that will never end. So, grab your flank cannon, put on your best cyberpunk outfit, and pay homage to the king, UT99 style. There you have it, gamers. I hope you guys enjoyed this comparison, and look, this was just from my perspective and my experience with both of these games. I'll always hold both of these games in high regard, and I still often think back to those cool LAN parties and jam sessions, you know, playing these games, and man, good times. But this comparison might have been nostalgia talking, but regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and if you did, please consider leaving a like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. It always helps out a ton. But yeah, thank you so much for all of the support lately. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, see ya.